Hello, dog people. It's time again for another episode of the Rocker Dog Podcast, the show that talks to musicians about their dogs. I'm your host, Tim Dill, along with my hunger-striking dog, Charlie, and today we are pleased as punch to be talking to Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Jane Wiedlin, who's best known as a member of the Go-Go's, but is set to release album number 2 from her project Elettrodomestico, titled Ed, on May 20th. In fact, this is their song, Just Like My Dog, that's playing under this intro, and we'll let it play out at the end of the show. And this is her eclectic mix of rocker dogs.
The dog I've had the longest is Kevin, and he is a rat terrier mix. He's black and white with really upright, pointy ears, super smart. I learned from Kevin that I actually prefer dumb dogs to smart dogs because he's constantly outsmarting me. So I got him in 2018. So he is now he's about 8 years old. It's all kind of, not for sure, because of course they're all rescues, so I don't know for sure. And then the next dog, so I adopted him in San Francisco. The next dog I adopted in Hawaii, his name is Pete, and he's just a big old hound dog. He's tall and white, and he's pretty dumb, so I love that about him. He's so sweet and good. He's really a lovely dog, and he might be 6 or 7. And then the next dog I adopted is Wilhelmina, and she is she's like a whippet mix. She's black. Okay. She's a mix though, so she doesn't look totally whippet, and she's got sort of these small cross eyes that are super cute and really funky teeth. She's like my favorite because she's so easy. She's the most easygoing dog, and she just has not a care in the world. And she's probably 10. I got her, she was already had some years on her. Wow. And then last year I got my dog Rosemarie. She's a little Chihuahua mix, and she was about a year when I got her. So she's 2 now. And she came from the other side of the island. Some friends of mine were in a car on a really busy road, and they saw something in the road, and they were like, "What is that?" And it was Rosemarie. And so they tried to catch her, and they couldn't. So they called me because I do rescue. So I called the rescue group that I volunteer for because they're on that side of the island, and they set up traps, and they trapped her. And then I immediately adopted her, and I named her Rosemarie after my friend that was the one that found her and actually probably saved her life by chasing her off that busy street. That's great. And then my latest dog I've only had for a month. She was somebody dumped her. She was in a really bad, methy kind of neighborhood, and someone had just dumped her, and it was obvious that it was a backyard breeder because you could tell she'd been bred over and over. And she was emaciated, blind, 2 dislocated hips. Punctured eardrum. She was messed up. I mean, I don't know, she's been through hell. Anyways, as soon as I saw her, I was like, I'm taking her. And she weighed 4 pounds when I got her. Oh my gosh. And it's only been about a month, but I've got her up to 6 pounds. She's very little. And I posted pictures of her on Instagram, and a fan wrote back and said that he thought she was a Japanese chin. So I looked it up, and that's exactly what she looks like. So yeah, somebody was just trying to make money off her, and I guess when she couldn't have puppies anymore, they dumped her. Yeah, so, and she's a senior gal? I thought she was much older because she could barely walk and stuff when I got her, but I think that a lot of that was just malnutrition. And now she's acting very lively. And my vet, we went to see my vet a few days ago, and he thought she might be as young as 5. Okay. So she's much younger than I thought she was. Now, as a 5th dog, do you have any hard and fast rules that you abide by? Like, can you have a 6th dog come in? I mean, I know you also foster at times. So is there a rhyme and reason to your method? No, when I just had the 3 dogs, when I just had Kevin, Willie, and Pete, I was like, okay, that's it. That's the perfect amount of dogs. It's perfect. I'm not doing any more dogs. but then I don't know. I can't help myself. And I just really want to stop at 5 because I do a ton of fostering. So
Yeah.
it's never just 5 anyways. There's also all the fosters. And I have a big setup in my carport for fostering litters of puppies.
Okay.
So, I fostered from 4 to 9 puppies in a litter at a time, which, I mean, of course, is really fun because puppies are fun and good. And the puppies are always, as far as trying to find homes, the puppies are easier to find homes for than, adult dogs, especially senior dogs. Nobody wants the seniors. So,
yeah.
So there's always, this house is pretty much just run by the dogs. I tried to count how many dog beds I have in this house, and I lost track at about 12. So.
Well, it's funny you had Pete, the hound dog.
Mm-hmm.
You had the picture of him sleeping in the smallest bed, and then the tiny dog sleeping in the bigger beds.
Yeah. They're funny that way.
Now, in one post you called Rosemarie the Destroyer.
Yeah, she's obsessed with my shoes. And her favorite pair was these really nice fluffy slippers I had, and she just got her hands on one and just completely destroyed it. And that's the first time she's ever done that. Her usual MO is if I leave shoes out anywhere, she'll take at least one and just move it somewhere super random. And I have this image of her in her head going, this shoe belongs here. And I live on a farm, so sometimes they just end up like, I mean, I have to look for a long time before I find them outdoors. But yeah, she's obsessed with just moving shoes. But that was her first really destructive one. And it was funny. I can't get mad at dogs. I'm too much of a softie.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm the same way. Well, speaking of living on a farm, it's funny, you already answered one of my first questions, and that was, your accommodations for these fosters, because I've seen numerous times it's funny that you have these sets of fosters that you give them like either candy bar names, or one set of fosters a while back was the Go-Go's name. So it is always these 5, 6, or 7 puppies. But tell me a little bit about the farm. You've got also other animals as well, correct?
I do. I have 2 miniature donkeys. Their names are Smith and Jones. And I have 2 miniature goats, and their names are Quentin and Elliot. And I have a miniature sheep named Penny. And I love them. I've always wanted to have like my own little petting zoo.
That's great.
Now I do.
Now, in your Instagram, you call yourself a dog worshiper. If there's a number 2 behind dogs, what animal would that be?
Oh my goodness. Boy, that's hard. Probably horses. I had horses almost my whole life until I guess I stopped now. It's been at least 6 years. My last horse that I had, he blew out his knee, so I couldn't ride him anymore. So he is retired. He's living on this gorgeous ranch in California, living the life. I'm sure he doesn't miss me. I miss him a little bit. But yeah, I've always been crazy about horses.
Okay.
And I guess third would be miniature donkeys. And they would tie with goats too. Goats are a laugh riot. I mean, everyone sees those cute goat videos. Goats have, as far as farm animals, they're way more like dogs. They just have, they just have so much personality, and they're loving and playful. And yeah, goats are great.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know that. And that's something I think I need to know, and a lot of people need to know, because are you a vegetarian or vegan or any of that?
Veggie.
Okay.
Veggie.
Yeah, I've recently gone vegetarian, but I'm just being more and more conscious of animals and their place on Earth. And to your point, if people could spend more time with animals that they tend to eat, I know it would help. It would help that people recognize that these animals do have personalities, and they're not just. I think people like look at a cow and think every cow is the same, when every cow is different, has its own personality, just like any dog.
Yeah, I never really knew anything about cows, but you see these videos and you see them making friends with animals, different species, and you see them like really acting very different than you would expect a cow to act, like a lot more self-aware, and it's weird.
Yeah. Now, when did fostering start for you? Does this go way back?
Oh gosh, 2015, actually. It was when I first moved to Hawaii. The problems in Hawaii are really bad. And as a tourist, you'll never see it. But living here, there's a lot of very, very old ingrained attitudes about dogs. There's so many people that just refuse to neuter their boy dogs. And then you just have these rampant pregnancies. And people are like, oh, it's an accident. Well, if you don't spay or neuter your dog, it's not an accident. It's just when is it going to happen, not if. And so we have just so many thousands and thousands of dogs here that need homes, and this constant tsunami of puppies that it just never stops. It's not seasonal here. It's all year round. So I don't know. I'm very sensitive to that stuff. And the first place I lived when I moved here, which was Hillside, it was a lot more local and, people that had less income and stuff. So maybe didn't have the opportunity to get as much education. And there's so many dogs that just be chained outside for their whole life. And, you think about that for a pack animal. That's like putting a person in solitary confinement. I mean, it's absolutely torture. It's torture, you know?
Yeah.
And there's just so much going on here, and it's so depressing and upsetting. And the only way that I can even not want to slit my wrist is to just try and do as much as I can. And, I have to tell myself you're doing as much as you can. And, you got to cut yourself a little slack, because I'm always like, I need to do more. I need to do more. But I am now on the board of directors for my rescue group, which is called Aloha Ilio, which means love dogs in Hawaiian. So great. I'm not only a volunteer as a foster mom, but I'm also on the board of directors.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I volunteer here, and just recently, the director of volunteers gave us a bunch of links to deal with compassion fatigue, which is something I've only been doing it over a year now. But when I first got into it, I was like, God, this is really tough emotionally, And, as you were saying, and I see other volunteers, how much further beyond they go than me. And I can see it. It's like, you have to understand, you can't solve it yourself, and everything you're doing is great and it's a benefit, but it's, you got to look after yourself as well. And I went into it with rose colored glasses. Like, I'm going to, hang out with dogs all day and walk dogs. But it's like, there's a very sad reality behind the inner workings of shelters and rescues.
Yeah. But that meme they have or a saying is like, you may not be able to save all the dogs, but the one that you did save, it's meaningful to them.
Yeah. So what kind of gets you interested in fostering when it comes up? Like I said, I've seen, through your timeline and on your social media, there are instances where you have dogs. Is it just case per case basis where I'm not going to be on tour, I'm going to be home? Sure.
Exactly. When I know that I'm going to be home for a chunk of time, I mean, I always feel like it has to be at least 2 months, especially because with puppies, you have a pretty good chance. And the way our system is set up, like if I have 6 puppies and, over the course of time, 5 get taken and then I have to leave town, they'll just go to a different foster. But I mean, we have a limited amount of foster people. So, we're always, it is relentless. It is absolutely relentless. And I mean, I could be fostering 24/7, 365 days a year, but I get the fatigue too. And sometimes I just have to have a break for a while, because it's a lot. And my dogs, you have to take in consideration them. They're not all that thrilled about me bringing in these new dogs all the time. I had to say it's easier with the puppies because they don't consider them a threat. Kevin and Willie hate the puppies, so they just stay way out of the way. But Pete is like the nanny dog, and he'll just lay there and let them crawl all over him, and it's like super sweet. Rosemarie's so tiny that she likes the puppies because she can play with them.
Now, you had a dog, Kitty Igloo.
Yeah.
As stated as your first dog as an adult.
Yes.
What's a little of the backstory on Kitty Igloo?
Starting
with the name.
I'm ashamed to say I bought her at a pet store before I knew better. I was I was 21. That was a long time ago, right? For almost 45 years ago. I don't know how I got well, Igloo, because she is an American Eskimo dog. So she is like one of those white fluffies, but not the big ones. Like they were more of the small ones. Boy, was she cute. And I don't know. I just thought Kitty Igloo was cute. I have no story on that one. But she was quite a handful. She was super hard to house train, lost a lot of carpeting. But she was awesome. And then later I got another, they call them American Eskimos, but they also call them Spitzes. So I'm not really sure. I think it's the same breed, but I got another, I adopted one of those later on to make up for my sin. And her name was Taz, like Tasmanian Devil. She was like, she still acted like a crazy puppy maniac till she was 7 years old. It was unbelievable. I thought it was never going to end. And finally she calmed down. I was like, wow. So sometimes, it takes a while for dogs to become adults.
Yeah, that name was a self-fulfilling prophecy, I think.
Yes.
Now, out of all your dogs, do you have that one certain soul dog that you always kind of go back to as the unforgettable one?
Probably Orbit. She was a Chinese crested. She was black, and they're the hairless dogs, except for they have like the manes.
Oh yeah, yep. I saw those pictures.
Yeah, they can be really cute. But they can also be really ugly. I think as a breed, they pretty much run the gamut of being like the most beautiful thing, looking like My Little Ponies, or the really, really ugly ones always win the ugliest dog contest. And I mean, the ugly ones are still adorable, of course, all dogs are. But Orbit was she was such a badass. Like, she was like 12 pounds of sassy, take no nonsense. And she would decide who she liked and who she didn't. And that would be that. And I don't know, she was just a lot of fun, that one.
Now, it sounds like you learn things from your dogs. What else would you say you learned from your dogs?
They're pack animals. So of course, being a team player is important. I've learned over the years to become the alpha, not with brute force or yelling or anger, but just with a calm confidence and very consistent wording. I always use the same words for everything I want. And I see it all the time. People are like, come here. Hey, get over here. Come on. Like, no, just sit down. Like that's a simple example of it. But, my dogs know all kinds of sentences like, who's hungry for some dinner? Who wants to go on a walk? Get in the car. Get in the back of the car. Like, they know a lot of sentences because they're said the same all the time. So I do recommend that for people that are starting out with dogs, to really be consistent and clear. And, losing your temper and being mad at a dog doesn't help at all. Now I just sort of shame them. Like, this is when like when Rosemary destroyed the slipper, I was like, oh, I'm shocked. I'm appalled. And they actually totally know that they did. She was like,
yeah.
She's got the face of like, oh no, I'm in trouble. So yeah, it's nice. I mean, I guess I'm lucky too, because I suppose like, some dogs really need like, I don't know, more strictness or something. But I find that my dogs are, operate as a pack with me as the pack leader. This is really nice. Remember when I used to see people and they had a bunch of dogs, and the person would be walking and the dogs would be surrounding them. And I thought, God, that is such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful picture. And now I have that.
I love that. Now, I noticed, it's funny, you guys are known for being the kickoff to the campaign, rather go naked than wear fur, which was rather go naked than wear fur. Yeah. How did that come about? Was that something pitched to you guys, or were you a volunteer at the time, or what was the context?
Yeah, that was in the mid 80s. I got very involved with PETA and was a volunteer for them, and did lots of protests and stuff with them. And then they pitched to me the idea of the whole band doing something, and everyone in the band are pet lover, animal lovers. So Yeah, so we did it. I really liked that. That was a great poster. It was really pretty, and yeah. I mean, it's funny too, because at the time I never thought the fur trade would go away or at least slow down, but it really does seem like it's not nearly as bad as it used to be.
Yeah.
I think people are ashamed to wear fur unless certain very crass people with too much money and not much class
Yeah.
still wear fur, I guess.
Yeah. I found, just as we get older, that advocacy takes a decade sometimes, just like
Mhm.
everything you think when you were growing up, you're like, oh, that's never going to happen. And it's like, it's happening, now it's the way of the world.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, when you do want to tackle something that, with consistency and time that, anything can be accomplished.
Yeah, I think that's the same with animal testing too. It's been such a long road, but a lot of the cosmetic and household product testing has gone away, which is great because it's stupid anyways, because animals don't react like humans react. Everyone knows that. Plus, they have all the computer models now, so there's literally no reason to do it.
Yeah. I was going to say, give it to AI before AI
Yes,
kills us. Let's torture
yes.
them a bit. Well, I wind down the show with what I call the Zoomies. And after the Zoomies, I do want to talk about Elettrodomestico. I know
Okay.
you've got a new album coming out. But first, the Zoomies. And the first question is, do you kiss your dogs on the mouth?
Absolutely. Or rather, they kiss me. Rosemary literally, when I'm laying down, dives onto my face and forces her tongue into my mouth and often up my nose too. And I have to
That,
say, Rosemary eats poo. So that is like really the fact that I can put up with that. What kind of mom? I'm a great mom. My
yes.
daughter poo and I let her kiss me in the mouth. French kiss.
Yes. I'm a big affectionate guy with my dog. And every day when I walk him, I see what he's sticking his nose into. And I'm like,
Oh God.
look
This is
away,
horrible.
look away.
But you can't help it. They love you. They want to kiss you on the face.
I know. I love it. I love it. Question two, this could be for any of your dogs, but do any of them have a particular theme song? If they were walking down the red carpet, what song would play for them?
Oh, wow. Well, actually, all the songs they love are these stupid songs I sing to them all the time that I made up, and they're terrible songs. I mean, you know, it's uh, like this is really embarrassing. Doggy, woggy, woggy head, you live in a froggy bed, like stuff like that makes no sense, and it's
It's,
really bad. And as a songwriter, I'm ashamed of myself, but it's stuff like that all the time.
well, and I know we all do that.
Yeah,
We all
we do.
do that. We all do that. And I appreciate you sharing that. Question three, I don't believe any of these dogs tour with you or show up
No,
on gigs, but if they
no.
were to, what would they want to have on their tour rider?
Oh, well, obviously steak, um,
Let's go right for
peanut,
the,
right, peanut butter, pig ears. They love pig ears. Ugh. Yeah, that would probably be their top three.
okay. And question four, I think this might be right up your alley. Do you have a dog voice? Do you have a dog? I'm sure you speak to your dogs in a voice, but do you give any of the dogs their own person, like
Oh
how they
yeah,
would sound?
yeah, yeah. What you want me to do it? Oh God.
Can you give me what's Rosemary sound like?
What's he sound like a little baby? She's a cute baby. Okay, she's looking at me. And then Pete is like, well, I want some dinner now because he's a hound dog. And Kevin's more like a wise guy, like, hey, give me that bone, mama. So, yeah.
I love it. I love that you have a personality for every one of them.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I always ask my guests if they'd like to give a shout out to an organization. And it sounds like you have your own personal organization. If you want to give us any information on that, or if there's anybody else that you know is doing great work that you want to give them some props.
Awesome. Obviously, yes. Aloha Helio Rescue. We're based in Hawaii. And like I said, the problems over here are really bad. Like I would say, I don't know. There are probably some states in America that are as bad as this state, but probably not many. But anyways, that's Aloha, H-A-E-L-I-L-I-O, rescue.
Well, I often ask my artists if their dogs inspired anything. And speaking of Elettrodomestico, which I want to ask about that name, I was sent a song just like my dog.
Yes.
Which is very catchy.
My band is called Elettrodomestico, and that means the appliances in Italian. And my partner, we're a duo. My partner is Pietro Straccia, and he's actually from Italy. He's Italian. He loves his dog so much, and of course, I love my dog so much. He has a dog named Bowie, who's a little what do you call it, Jack Russell type dog, but he has 2 different color eyes, which is why he got the name Bowie. So a song was written just like my dog, and it's basically, I am just like my dog. I've got feet, but he's got paws. Anyways, it's very cute, lighthearted. We plan on making a video. We're going to have like a little online contest where we ask fans to send in pictures of them with their dogs to show that they're just like their dog. And then we're going to, and then the people that win, they're going to get to be in the video. That's great. What a great idea. Yeah. And is the new album still on the mark for coming out May 20th? It is. It is. We'll see if we make that mark. It seems like it's getting really close, dangerously close. Well, looking at you, and it's still sunny out, so you've got the rest of the day to hit the studio and get to work. Yeah. Yep. Well, Jane, thank you so much for taking the time and talking dogs with me. When I see an artist with dog worshiper as their moniker, I'm like, get them on the show. We got to talk to them. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Tim. Crazy eyes open just enough. He shares what he don't need. Charm the girls, they all smile as they walk by. Yeah, he gets that from me. When they approach, he lets them get close. Then he runs off. He runs off. Just on the beaches, make the wash up sea creatures. That's my son in the sun. My son in the sun. My son is the sun. My son in the sun, my son in the sun, my son in the sun, my son.